Good day. Today we will speak about scientific article. Scientific article is a study on one of the selected specialized topics, presented in a brief written form. This type of author's work is distinguished by a clear structure and competent interrelation of cause and effect. Such an article may be the result of a scientific experiment or experience, or a review of publications already released. In the first case, the term primary scientific article is used for designation. In the second, respectively, secondary classification of scientific articles. There is an unspoken division of publications directly related to science. They are classified according to the principle on which the writing of the article was based. The following types are distinguished: a scientific theoretical article, scientific and practical article, also called empirical from the Greek. About the two first points refer to the primary scientific articles. These types differ from each other in that in the first case a theoretical study was conducted, and in the second a full-fledged scientific experience which allows to get information, verification, and practice. The survey scientific article is a secondary publication that draws conclusions from existing ones. Features and science. The effect of novelty is the main rule for the content of a scientific article. The work must contain its own development conclusions and previously unpublished results. The scientific article assigns the author the right to priority in the chosen field of study. How to write a scientific article. For successful writing, it is necessary to observe all stages of preparation and execution of this process. Some of them are conditional but nonetheless important. The correct title is the most important. It reflects the selected subject area and very concisely describes the publication. You can draw a parallel with the famous saying, "Meat on clothes." Put on your scientific article representatively but not fancifully, cleverly but not pathetically. Topics of scientific articles differ in the same style of presentations as the works themselves. Determine the volume of future publication. The number of pages is not just a feature at the end of the text for overall development. At the very beginning of the work, it is who gives the authors information about how much information in what format he can add to the article. Depending on the volume, instead, a completely different article might come up. Do not forget repeatedly recheck text. An article replete with punctuation, grammatical and stylistic mistakes will spoil the author's reputation, putting him in a far from the best light. Stick to the chosen style. Avoid not only newspaper slang but also technical cliches, banal sayings, stable word formation, not to go from one extreme to another. Follow the rule of briefly the sister of talent, without simplifying everything. Structure the article. Do not interrupt cause-effect relationship. A conclusion is needed for each analysis. Use mathematics, the universal language of scientists. Applies to all scientific articles, not just technical. How to write in a scientific style. In general, the structure of what is a scientific article was shown. Keep a clear text structure. Split text into logical blocks. Ron, use everyday examples and comparisons. Talk to the reader. Use in the article jargon. Scientific style is the integrity and coherence of the story. Requirements for the design of scientific articles. The above recommendations for writing scientific articles are not in vain defined, somewhat vaguely, without clearly laws and forms. In the end, even a strict style of narration should not limit the author in his inspiration. Therefore, various scientific journals sometimes impose their requirements on the context, and before you sit down for writing directly, it would be better to study them thoroughly. Publication of scientific articles is carried out within the rules of specific publications. The term called under the abbreviation UDC allows to correlate the work with a specific area of research. sure to indicate the full names of the author and co-authors in Russian and English. It is supposed to submit data on the place of work with indication of the country and city, as well as the international format. The allowable amount of text is from 10,000 characters to 60,000 spaces are taken into account. A bibliographic list, in other words, a list of reference, is drawn up according to GOST. It must be specified in two versions, in Russian and translated or transliterated. Verify of scientific texts. Separate classification exists not only in the concept of classic scientific article. The first type in pure scientific article, an example of an academic publication. These include scientific articles on economics and scientific articles on the law. Often they become very relevant at certain points. The second type is closely related to the student's body. The first attempt at writing to future specialists in the scientific field are among young students. Education of the level is not only specialized but also general academic. Third type D, for him, the slogan to introduce science into the public masses is relevant. The terms used in such texts are explained in detail in simple human language. However, even publication of scientific articles of this type is governed by its regulatory documents. In addition, their requirements may be submitted and magazines which will print these works. Briefly, it can be summarized that popular science articles are the connection of the scientific world with the unscientific. Review of scientific articles. A review of a scientific article is written by members of the editorial board in the right to edit the text in the discretion, correct or shorten. A scientific article is published in the case of a positive review. Otherwise, there is the possibility of refinement. It based on the recommendations of the reviewer.